There is a question that almost no one asks when they are in love. And perhaps that is exactly why so many people spend years calling something love that was never truly love. Because when a man enters your life, it is easy to pay attention to what he says. The compliments, the promises, the intensity, the way he makes you feel special. But there is something far more revealing. Something that appears when no one is watching. Something that emerges in moments of pressure, conflict, and situations where he gains nothing in return. And that is precisely where the truth appears. Not every man who says, "I love you," is willing to protect what makes you who you are. In fact, some do the opposite. They get close, earn your trust, and little by little begin to destroy the most valuable parts of your identity without you even realizing it. So the question is not whether he loves you. The question is, what does he protect when he is by your side? Because the answer to that single question can reveal more about a relationship than years of beautiful words. There is a reason why so many people spend years in relationships without ever being sure whether they are truly loved. It is not because they lack intelligence. It is not because they are not paying attention. It is because they have been taught to look for the wrong evidence. Most people watch words. They watch promises. They watch affectionate messages, intense moments, and occasional displays of affection. But there is a problem. All of those things can exist even when love does not. A person can say exactly what you want to hear. They can promise a future. They can show passion. They can even seem completely devoted, and still not truly love you. Because love rarely reveals itself in easy moments. It shows up when pressure appears, when there is conflict, when frustrations arise, when emotions become uncomfortable. Those are the moments when masks begin to fall. Think about it for a moment. Anyone can be kind when everything is going well. Anyone can be affectionate when they are happy. Anyone can show interest when they are getting something in return. But what happens when things do not go as expected? What happens when you express a boundary, when you disagree, when you are vulnerable, when you need understanding instead of approval? The answers to those questions often reveal more about a relationship than months or even years of being together. Because love is not just what someone feels, it is what someone chooses to protect. And there is a huge difference between wanting a person and protecting what helps them thrive. Many relationships are built on need, on fear of loss, on attachment, on emotional dependency. But true love operates differently. It does not seek to control, it seeks to preserve. And that is exactly why there is a sign that clearly separates love from simple emotional attachment. A sign so powerful that once you learn to recognize it, you begin to see relationships in a completely new way. And it all starts with the very first thing a man who is genuinely in love protects without anyone having to ask. From a very young age, many women receive conflicting messages about what it means to be loved. Movies show the man who cannot live without her. Stories romanticize jealousy. Intense relationships are presented as proof of a deep connection. And little by little, a dangerous idea begins to take shape. The idea that the more someone controls, the more they love. But reality is usually exactly the opposite. Control is born from fear. Love is born from trust. When a man feels the need to constantly monitor where you are, who you talk to, or what you do, that does not necessarily reveal the strength of his feelings. Many times, it simply reveals the fragility of his own emotional security. And this is where many people become confused. Because control usually arrives in disguise. It rarely says, "I want to control you." It shows up as excessive concern, as constant opinions about your choices, as seemingly innocent criticism, as comments that slowly make you question yourself. At first, it all seems like protection, but there is an important difference. Protection makes you feel stronger. Control makes you feel smaller. Protection expands your freedom. Control reduces your space. Protection respects who you are. Control tries to shape who you should be. Over time, some women begin adapting their behavior to avoid conflict. They stop saying certain things. They stop expressing opinions. They abandon personal interests. and they do not always realize they are drifting away from their own identity. What is most concerning is that this process usually happens slowly, almost invisibly, until one day an uncomfortable question appears. Why do I no longer feel like myself? That is exactly when it becomes necessary to understand the first major sign of true love. Because a man who truly loves does not create an environment where you have to shrink yourself to maintain the relationship. He does something completely different. He protects the foundation that allows the relationship to grow in a healthy way. Your emotional safety. Emotional safety is one of the most valuable qualities in any healthy relationship. And surprisingly, it is also one of the most overlooked. Many people look for chemistry. They look for attraction. They look for intensity. But the real question should be different. Do I feel safe being who I am around this person? Because a man who truly loves does not turn the relationship into an emotional minefield. You do not spend your life trying to guess his mood. You do not spend your day carefully choosing words to avoid outbursts. You do not feel afraid to express what you think. You do not have to hide your feelings to keep the peace. His presence does not create constant tension. It creates stability. That does not mean the absence of conflict. Every healthy relationship has differences. There are disagreements. There are difficult moments. There are uncomfortable conversations. But the difference lies in how those moments are handled. An emotionally mature man does not see your vulnerability as an opportunity to win an argument. He sees it as an opportunity to understand. When you share something that hurts you, he does not immediately rush to defend himself. He does not turn your pain into a judgment against you. He does not respond with sarcasm, contempt, or indifference. Instead, he slows down. He listens. He tries to understand, even when he does not completely agree, because his goal is not to prove he is right. It is to protect the connection. And there is an extremely revealing detail. Pay attention to how you feel after difficult conversations. Do you leave them feeling more confused, more anxious, more insecure? Or do you leave feeling heard and respected? The answer says a lot about the quality of the bond. Because true love does not make vulnerability a risk. It creates an environment where honesty can exist without fear. But there is another quiet behavior that separates mature men from those who simply create emotional dependency. And it is during periods of instability that this difference becomes impossible to hide. There is a moment when almost every mask falls away. It is not during a romantic dinner. It is not during a special trip. It is not when everything is working perfectly. It is during conflict. Because conflict reveals what words can hide. When an argument happens, two people can take completely different paths. One seeks to dominate, the other seeks to resolve. And that difference changes everything. A man who still operates from emotional immaturity sees conflict as a battle. For him, someone must win. Someone must lose. That is why he interrupts, dismisses, mocks, changes the subject, tries to prove superiority. His focus is not on the solution, it is on control. But a man who truly loves understands something fundamental. If the relationship loses stability, both people lose. That is why, during difficult moments, his priority is not protecting his own ego. It is protecting the connection. He asks questions before jumping to conclusions. He listens before reacting. He seeks to understand before attacking. That does not mean he will be perfect. It does not mean he will never become frustrated. It does not mean he will always find the right words. It simply means that even in moments of tension, he does not turn you into an enemy. And there is an incredibly powerful sign that many women overlook. Pay attention to what happens after the conflict. Some men use silence as punishment. They withdraw affection. They create distance on purpose. They make you feel as though you must earn back something that should never have been taken away. Others do the opposite. Even when they need space, they make it clear that the connection remains safe. Because love does not use anxiety as a tool of control. Those who love seek to restore trust. Those who control seek to increase insecurity. And there is one environment where this truth becomes even more obvious. A place where many men reveal who they truly are without realizing it. when the woman they claim to love is not there to hear them. There is a form of respect that does not happen in front of your eyes. It happens behind the scenes, in private conversations, in moments when you are not there to defend yourself. And that is precisely where many men reveal their true intentions. A man can be incredibly affectionate when he is by your side. He can show affection in public. He can give compliments when you are listening. But the truly important question is different. How does he speak about you when you are not in the room? Because a man who truly loves understands that your dignity is not something to be negotiated. He does not turn your insecurities into jokes. He does not share intimate details simply to impress his friends. He does not expose vulnerabilities that you entrusted to him during moments of openness. To him, what you place in his trust becomes something to protect. And that happens for one simple reason. When true love exists, a person stops seeing the relationship as a source of entertainment or social validation. They begin to see it as something valuable, something worthy of care. That is why mature men pay attention to how they allow others to treat their partners. They do not participate in disrespectful conversations. They do not encourage humiliating comments. They do not remain silent when someone crosses important boundaries. And they do not do this to appear strong. They do it because they understand that selective respect is not respect. Respect that exists only in someone's presence is not real respect. A person's dignity is protected most when they are not watching. And there is an even more revealing detail. Because this protection does not appear only in front of others. It also emerges when emotions become intense and the relationship is put to the test. It is in those moments that many people discover whether they are facing love or simply someone who knows how to be kind when everything is easy. Few situations reveal a person's character as clearly as what they do when there is no audience, when no one is watching, when there is no reward, when there is no need to impress. Those are the moments when the truth usually appears. A man who truly loves you does not completely change the way he speaks about you depending on the environment he is in. He does not build one image in front of you and another in front of his friends. He does not seek approval by diminishing the person beside him. He does not make comments that weaken your image just to get laughs or gain attention. Because he understands something many people ignore. Every time someone disrespects their partner to gain external validation, they are weakening the relationship itself. And this does not happen only through major actions. Most of the time, it happens in small moments. An apparently harmless joke, a degrading comment disguised as humor, an unnecessary exposure of something intimate, a criticism made in front of other people. Small behaviors that, repeated over time, erode trust. A man who truly values the woman by his side behaves differently. He does not need to idealize her. He does not need to pretend she is perfect. But he speaks about her with respect, with consideration, with care, and above all, with consistency. The same consideration he shows in her presence continues to exist in her absence. That consistency is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. Because genuine respect does not depend on supervision. It is part of a person's character. But there is a form of protection even deeper than protecting emotions or reputation. A form that determines whether the relationship will help you grow or quietly cause you to lose yourself over the years. And it is exactly here that genuine love is finally separated from possession. There is something many people lose within relationships without realizing it. It does not happen all at once. It does not happen dramatically. It happens little by little, through small compromises, through constant adaptations, through quiet sacrifices, until one day the person realizes they no longer fully recognize who they once were. That is why the third protection of true love is so important. A man who truly loves you protects your identity. He protects what makes you a unique person. Your dreams, your values, your friendships, your passions, your individuality. Because he does not see those parts as threats. He understands that they are exactly what make you who you are. Insecure men often try to shrink their partner's world. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it happens through subtle comments, constant questioning, criticism disguised as concern, small pressures that gradually lead a woman to abandon important parts of her own life. But healthy love moves in a different direction. It does not ask you to become smaller so the relationship can survive. It creates space for you to grow. A mature man feels proud when he sees his partner evolve. He is not threatened by your confidence. He does not interpret your independence as rejection. He does not see your personal growth as competition. On the contrary, he understands that strong relationships are built by two whole people, not two dependent people. And there is a very simple question that can reveal this difference. What happens when you begin to grow? When you achieve something important? When you gain more confidence? When you take on new challenges? Some men celebrate your growth. Others quietly begin trying to slow it down. And it is precisely in those moments that one of the most dangerous signs of emotional insecurity emerges. A silent behavior that destroys relationships without many people realizing what is happening. Not every man who feels threatened by his partner's growth will admit it. In fact, most will never clearly say what they are feeling. The problem is that insecurity rarely appears directly. It usually hides behind subtle behaviors. And precisely because they are subtle, many women take years to recognize them. It can all begin when you achieve something important. A new opportunity, a successful project, a personal goal, a period of greater self-confidence. In a healthy relationship, these achievements strengthen the connection. There is support, pride, encouragement. But when insecurity takes control, something different happens. Instead of celebrating, he minimizes. Instead of supporting, he questions. Instead of encouraging, he creates doubt. He may not do it aggressively. He may use seemingly innocent comments. He may say he is simply being realistic. He may claim he is trying to protect you from disappointment. But deep down, the effect is always similar. Your energy decreases. Your enthusiasm fades. Your confidence begins to be questioned. And this is one of the most dangerous signs, because emotional sabotage rarely looks like sabotage at first. It looks like concern. It looks like advice. It looks like care. Until you realize that your greatest moments of growth are met with resistance instead of support. A man who loves does not need you to remain small so that he can feel big. He does not measure his worth by comparing it to yours. He does not turn your growth into a threat. Quite the opposite. He understands that one person's success strengthens the future of both, but there is an even harder trap to recognize. Many people confuse emotional dependency with closeness, and that confusion causes unbalanced relationships to seem incredibly passionate. That is why understanding the difference between love and dependency can completely change the way you view your relationships. At first glance, love and emotional dependency can seem very similar. Both create closeness. Both generate attachment. Both make two people want to be together. But when we look more deeply, the differences become impossible to ignore. Emotional dependency is born from fear. Fear of loss. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being enough. That is why it often demands constant reassurance. It needs frequent validation. It needs control. It needs confirmation. Nothing ever seems sufficient for very long. Love works differently. It does not completely eliminate human fears, but it is not governed by them. Instead of trapping, it provides space. Instead of suffocating, it strengthens. Instead of demanding constant proof, it builds trust through consistency. There is an important detail that many people overlook. Dependency creates intensity. Love creates stability. And because we have been conditioned to associate intensity with depth, we often confuse one for the other. Emotions rise and fall. Conflicts repeat themselves. Anxiety increases. Then comes relief. And the cycle begins again. For some people that feels like passion, but in reality, it is often just emotional instability. True love does not need that cycle to survive. It does not depend on constant crises to keep the connection alive. Its strength lies precisely in the security it provides, in healthy predictability, in the feeling that you do not have to fight every day to maintain your place in the other person's life. And if you still have doubts about the difference between love and dependency, there is an extremely simple question that can bring more clarity than any theory. A question capable of revealing a truth that we often try to avoid seeing. After everything we have explored so far, you may be trying to analyze signs, remembering conversations, revisiting moments from the past, questioning behaviors that once seemed normal, and that is natural. But there is a much simpler way to evaluate the quality of a relationship. A single question. A question that goes beyond words, beyond promises, beyond justifications. Ask yourself, by his side, do I feel more like myself or less? It seems like a simple question, but few questions carry so much power. Because healthy relationships have a very specific effect. They bring you closer to your true self. You continue to recognize your values. You continue to cultivate your interests. You continue to express your opinions. You continue to feel free to exist as you truly are. Over time, your identity grows stronger. Your confidence increases. Your peace expands. Relationships built on control, fear, or dependency, on the other hand, tend to produce the opposite effect. Little by little, you begin to adapt too much, to filter your thoughts, to hide parts of yourself, to give up legitimate needs, to walk on eggshells to avoid conflict, and without realizing it, you begin to disappear within the relationship itself. This process rarely happens overnight. It is gradual, quiet, but its effects run deep. That is why this question is so important. Because it ignores speeches, ignores promises, ignores excuses, and looks only at the results. Is the relationship helping you flourish, or is it causing you to shrink? The answer is often more honest than any explanation. And once you understand that truth, it becomes much harder to accept forms of love that demand too high a price just to exist. Because there is something that true love should never ask for in return. Throughout this video, we have explored a simple but deeply transformative idea. True love is not revealed only by what someone feels. It is revealed by what someone chooses to protect. And when a man truly loves, three things become clear. He protects your emotional safety, he protects your dignity, and he protects your identity. These three forms of protection create the foundation of relationships that can last without destroying the people within them. Because love should not require you to live in a constant state of anxiety. It should not make you question your worth every day. It should not force you to sacrifice your peace in order to maintain the connection. When love is genuine, you do not have to abandon who you are to be chosen. You do not have to shrink your dreams to be accepted. You do not have to hide your voice to avoid conflict. You do not have to carry the burden of continuously proving that you deserve to stay. That is because healthy love does not operate through fear. It operates through trust. And perhaps that is the most important truth of all. Relationships should not consume your identity. They should strengthen your ability to express it. So whenever you feel uncertain, return to the question we discussed earlier. Do you feel more like yourself or less? Very often the answer is right there. Quiet, waiting only for you to have the courage to hear it. If this video brought you clarity, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content about relationships, psychology, and personal development. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Protect your peace, protect your identity, and never accept a love that demands from you what true love should protect.